The Newsday continues here on One News Now Business. I'm Diego Castro. Here are the bigger stories on the economic and corporate fronts. Prices of the cheapest type of rice in a market in Mandaluyong has now reached 50 pesos, with vendors warning that it would climb by 2 more pesos. As of this morning, sinandoming rice costs 50 pesos per kilo, up from the previous 42 pesos. Prices of special sinandoming saw a 6 peso increase, now at 52 pesos per kilo. Both denorado and imported rice, on the other hand, now sell for 58 pesos per kilo. Aside from rice, egg prices are also seen to climb by 5 pesos per tray, or about 50 centavos per piece. As of now, small eggs in the market sell for 5.5 pesos per piece, while medium eggs go for 8 pesos each. On the other hand, large and extra large eggs are now priced at 8 pesos and 50 centavos and 9 pesos respectively. Heads up motorists, there's a looming oil price hike this week. According to oil industry sources, gasoline prices may rise up to 1 peso and 90 centavos per liter, while diesel could be pricier by up to 1 peso and 60 centavos per liter. This will be the 6th consecutive week of diesel price hikes and the 5th for gasoline. To mitigate the effects of pump price increases, the government has readied some 3 billion pesos in fuel subsidies. This is for affected operators, drivers, and delivery riders. About 1.5 million people are expected to benefit from this subsidy.
Lahat po ng regional offices, yung disbursement po kasi ng pera ay central office. So, madami po yun. Siyempre, yung ating mga finance officers po, inisa-isa po nila. Doon may master list po, dino-double check po, nire-revalidate po nila yung mga entries kung may double entries, double accounts, mga ganun po.
In light of the recent oil price hike, several transport groups are now eyeing a 2 peso increase jeepney minimum fare. Various groups, including the Liga ng Transportasyon at Operators ng Pilipinas or LTAP, have filed a petition with the LTFRB for a fare increase. They maintain that current petroleum prices have become too burdensome for drivers and operators. If the fare hike petition is approved, the minimum jeepney fare will climb to 14 pesos.
Ngayon na po ay mahigit na po 60 pesos. Nasa 63, 65, depende po sa gasolinahan. So kami po ngayon ay talagang hindi na kaya ho dahil nga ang aming pahanap buhay na pang-araw-araw ay halos napupunta na yung kinikita ng aming mga tsuper sa pambili po ng krudo.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. Analysts expect the country's economic growth to remain lackluster in the second half, making it increasingly unlikely to meet the government's 6 to 7% growth target for 2023. Analysts slashed their full-year projections after GDP growth in the second quarter fell below expectations at 4.3%. Pantheon Macroeconomics downgraded its full-year growth forecast to 4.5% from the previous 5.5%. Economist Miguel Chanco of Pantheon Macroeconomics says it would be difficult to salvage the year in the second half. Chanco says the weakness in the economy is broad-based, affecting all aspects of domestic demand. Chanco also says the government has little fiscal room to stimulate growth. With the slowing economic growth and easing inflation, analysts say the Bangko Sentral is likely to keep its benchmark policy rates steady at 6.25% for a third straight meeting this week. A Businessworld poll shows that 13 out of 15 analysts believe that the Monetary Board will extend its pause on Thursday. Two economists are meanwhile expecting the BSP to hike borrowing costs by 25 basis points, mirroring US Fed. If realized, this would bring the key rate to 6.5%. Some analysts are also expecting the central bank to start cutting rates in the fourth quarter to boost consumer demand following the disappointing second quarter GDP. The BSP has earlier said that it's ready to resume policy tightening should supply shocks on inflation emerge, especially if the El Nino turns out to be severe. Here to share with us his policy rate expectations and outlook for economic growth, we have with us on the show Ronilo Balbieran from the Faculty of School of Economics of the UA&P. Sir, good morning and thank you very much for joining us again here on One News Now.
Good morning, Diego.
Yes, sir, let's get right to it. Are you expecting a rate pause this Thursday?
Yes, definitely, because of this new data from our second quarter GDP. So we can really expect that our monetary board will wait and see again. And in fact, just to have a contrarian view, they should already start imagining a possible rate cut starting next month to accommodate or to expect a slowdown of our economy just in case there's a huge impact of El Nino on our agriculture.
Okay, so you're saying, sir, at the earliest, you are expecting rate cuts. Are you saying this week, next week, or next month? At the earliest,
for this month, this should be a wait and see, but for September, we should already expect that the monetary board will be reflecting. If I may suggest that they should already reflect on a rate cut possibility, forecasting a huge impact of the El Nino towards next year. And so, as we know, rate cuts or rate hikes takes around 6 months to a year to have their total effect on our economy. So you don't want to be surprised with the impact of El Nino on our economy, and then you will have your cramming session in terms of rate cuts to accommodate an increase in the speed of our economy.
And as you may have noticed, sir, we have been reporting a lot of inflation stories, and I think a while ago, Pantheon Macroeconomics also downgraded their forecast for growth. But do you think, despite all of these factors and all of the analysts saying otherwise, do you think we can achieve a full-year growth target of at least 6%?
Well, at least 6%, and as high as 6 to 6.2 is still possible, no? So, and where will be the sources coming from, no? So number one, you have the construction. So we have the lackluster growth performance in the public infrastructure spending, but we know that there's around 10 to 12% increase in government infrastructure budget for 2023 versus 2022. And so I think it's just a procurement delay problem the money is there, but we just need to spend it. As you know, Secretary Jokno promised that the national government will ramp up, will accelerate spending on infrastructure, and that should provide a massive push for our economic growth for the third quarter and the fourth quarter. The second would be the tourism, because for the second quarter of our GDP, though food consumption decreased significantly, our consumption on tourism-related items, recreation and culture, hotel and restaurant, coffee shops, have actually managed to grow by double digit. And so that should provide significant sources of growth for our third quarter, most especially our fourth quarter, where we will welcome our holiday.
Yes, aside from the other things you mentioned, of course, the fourth quarter, we will see the holiday spending. But what other factors can the government do to boost economic growth for at least the second half?
Well, as you know, our national budget, especially for our government infrastructure, is filled with transport and logistics infrastructure related to food. So this should provide more consumption and more production from our agriculture. As you know, a lot of our consumption growth slowdown came from agriculture. We now have another. We thought it was already continuing, no, at a surprise growth of 2.2% in the first quarter for agriculture. Went down again by 0.2 for the second quarter. But with this infrastructure spending for agriculture-related transportation and logistics infrastructure, then we know that the agriculture should benefit over third and fourth quarter. And if I may add,
Yes.
in the second quarter of this year, 2023, we have managed to increase our employment in agriculture by more than 1.6 million. So the largest increase in employment across all sectors. Okay. So we should be feeling the effect of the purchasing power of the farmers and, of course, the production of the farmers towards third quarter and the fourth quarter. And that should provide significant increase in our GDP, hopefully meeting the target, the minimum target of our government at 6%, as high as 6.2. In fact, don't be surprised if we even grow at 6.5, but though that's highly unlikely. But I think if we grow by a 6.5 third quarter, more than 7.5% fourth quarter, we can actually hit 6.5. But no, that's too much optimism. But I think at the rate we're going, at the promises that made by our government and the employment numbers of the second quarter provide sufficient reasons for us to believe that 6% at least is still achievable.
Okay, clarify ko. You said highly unlikely but possible yung 6.5.
Yes, because
Okay,
our economy, the second half should grow by more than 7% for us to
Hopefully,
hit 6.5.
Let's move to the second quarter debt to GDP. It's still at 61%. Now, sir, do you think the government can bring this down further?
Well, it's a slow descent, no? But 61 is already manageable, no? So if we are able to bring it to 60 and even less than 60 by the end of this year, it's okay, no? But I think that is no longer a factor in terms of our management, our relaxed management of our economy from the point of view of the national government. So it's already in very, very manageable level. And therefore, with our economy growing, we can expect that our BIR and BOC will continue to exceed their targets in terms of tax collection, and therefore it should provide more reductions in our debt to GDP.
Well, thank you for your insight, sir. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for now. Thank you very much for joining us, Sir Ronilo Balbieran from the UA&P School of Economics.
Thank you very much, Diego.
And those are the top business stories of the hour. I'm Diego Castro. Join us again at 2 p.m. We are One News. The FIBA World Cup starts August 24. Support Gilas, support Team Pilipinas, watch, buy tickets, the biggest sports event of the year.